Mother Russia. One of the most developed countries in the world with an advanced standard of living. The offer to move to this country looks tempting for sure, and with the beautiful cities, attractive spots, and everything in between, you can hardly blame one for considering to move. But there are other things apart from tall buildings and colorful nights that need to be considered. To help you put a couple things into perspective, here's a top 10 list of why you shouldn't move to Russia. Number 1, the weather. Russia is a very big country, and it's literally on 2 different continents. So you would expect varying weather in the country based upon your location. But it looks like Russia has somehow managed to find a way past that and has given its residents a unifying problem: cold, unending weather. The cold here is slightly unbearable, and unlike other countries that rejoice at the coming of the sun, Russia doesn't seem to have one. The winter here lasts longer than one would expect. If the part of the world that you've lived in all of your life is one with nice summer weather and moderate winters, you're in for a treat. I'm not sure that you would want to venture here. Number 2, distance. In other situations, size could be a good aspect of a new environment, as it allows you to explore. But in Russia, the story's different. Here's a tale of a country on 2 different continents. Yes, Russia is quite big in that it is mapped over 2 places. That kind of size ends up making everything far from one another, though. Would you want to travel a long distance to get to your place of work? No? Well, we thought so too. Even driving to a place for recreation can take a whole day. This country is very big, which presents a problem for someone not used to the lifestyle. Now, if you don't mind the distance, let's talk about life on the road. Number 3, traffic. For some unexplained reasons, the major roads of some parts of Russia are always under repair, and this affects the day-to-day commuting for the residents. For the roads that are free from repair works, you cannot escape the massive traffic that has become a part of this country. It's one of the things for the traffic to last for hours, but it's another thing for the traffic to be as long as 2 kilometers on major roads. Most times, this is caused by the reckless driving of the citizens, and this is why some prefer to just take public transport or even hire a driver to help deal with the craziness. Let's just say every hour is rush hour in Russia. Number 4, public transportation. Another aspect of life on the road which remains undesirable is the poor system of public transport. If you're living within the big city, you might have less to worry about getting public transport. The traffic should be your concern. But if you're in a remote area or the smaller towns in the country, then it could be a challenge if you don't have a car. The public transport only moves within big cities, leaving those outside the area in a crazy situation. If you do decide to use a personal car in this area, then it's best to move around with the proper documents like an international driver's license, passport, and visa to avoid security troubles. Number 5, the cost of living. What about life in the cities? Think about the cost of living of other major cities in the world. Their cost of living is low compared to the big cities in Russia. Accommodation prices like hotels and housings are through the roof, and they fluctuate every now and then. The cost of living in smaller cities and towns is a bit lower, but they're generally still high when compared to other towns in other countries. To put it bluntly, the cost of living would be too much for you. Number 6, language. Language is yet another reason that might affect you from coming here. The country's official language is Russian, and while it is normal for a country to have an official language that's quite different from English, in Russia, the use of English, however, is discouraged. Until you pick up a few words, you're going to have issues communicating with the people in this country. If you plan to get there and start learning the language, you might want to change that plan, as if you've tried to learn Russian over the years with no success, then moving would be a bad decision. Number 7, healthcare. Another major concern in Russia is the healthcare. This particular problem is divided into 2 main parts depending upon your preference. If you prefer the private healthcare sector, you're going to need a lot of money to maintain that choice. Though private healthcare is really good and the services are top notch, it's still quite expensive. If you decide, on the other hand, to pick the public option, well, it's affordable, but the substandard conditions are completely outdated, and you might as well be better off without a healthcare program. Number 8, safety. The crime rate in Russia has dropped significantly over the years, but it is still at a worrisome level. The bad part is that a foreigner is exposed to greater risk when compared to the locals. This decreasing crime rate has not done much on the issues of lower crimes like assault, mugging, property theft, and the likes. I wouldn't want to walk at night if I was alone in most of the big cities in the country, and you shouldn't either. Number 9, drinking culture. Russia is absolutely famous for its drinking culture, and this could be a problem for somebody moving to the city. If you're the type that drinks nothing but water or soda, you might come into issues with the locals when asked for a drink. Refusing the invitation could be interpreted in a number of ways, and they're not the ones that end with a smile. If you're also trying to avoid a drinking problem, then moving to Russia sounds ironic. Lastly, number 10, the country system. Well, the last part on this list is kind of a sort of a reputation for Russia and just Russians in general. The system is not an entirely free one for anybody, and it's not easy to adjust to this strict lifestyle. One example is the media. It is well controlled and very censored. Only one type of info gets to the citizen, and it is the one that the government allows. The system also allows for the provision of new laws at any time to combat any rising issue in the country. Honestly, I'd think twice before leaving the US. So, there you have it. Those are the top 10 reasons why not to move to Russia.